What is going on, real estate virgins? Welcome back to the podcast. I am Jordan Brown here with my co-host, John Michael Perez. What's going on, buddy?
What's up? What type of podcast are we, man?
I'm going to tell you. Thank God you asked. If you are listening to this, you are an agent who is looking to elevate your business in 2023 and beyond. And we are here to do that through stories of success and failure, interviewing top agents from all around. And that leads me to what we've got in store for you today. I'm so excited to introduce this guy. I'm so glad he made the trip up from Victoria to be here and share his knowledge with us. This gentleman and I worked at the Pump House. Great name for a strip club, but that's not what it was. It was a restaurant in Victoria, Texas. He is now an absolute killer agent in Victoria. We are so honored to have you as our guest, Mr. Jake Truss.
You're going to trust us. This is going to be a great podcast.
Can't get away from it, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, tune in because I'm not kidding you. This guy had an explosive career, like start to his real estate career. I think he's got a lot of really great insights that you're going to want to listen to, so buckle in. Jake, welcome to the podcast, man. How's it going?
Hey, good. It's going good, man. Thank you guys for having me. Very excited to, provide what I can give and give you everything I got. I can't promise it's all perfect, but it did allow me to have some quick success and try to refine it over the years. So happy to give what I can give for it.
Nice.
Do you come to Austin often?
Not often. So I grew up near Waco, so we'll come, go see family, things like that, and pass through, get a bite to eat, that type of thing. But Austin's just, it's a 2-hour drive, so it's short enough to get here, do some things, spend the weekend, but also far enough that it's not like we can just go, on a Tuesday and then, go up on a Tuesday and then come back, to Victoria and keep the workflow going. So.
We all got a little bit of the Austin traffic bug this morning. It was kind of crazy. And I was texting you guys and you were like, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. And I somehow got here like earlier than you did. That was crazy. But nonetheless, man, we're so excited to have you because, I mean, talk about the start of your career, year one. Like,
how many deals did you do your first year?
37, 38, something.
Holy
like
shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Man, I hit the ground running. And I'm sure we'll get into this at some point, but I was in a position where I just went all in from day one, and you really just adopted that mentality of sink or swim. It paired that with just, a good sphere of influence that, indirectly had been created over the years, and just really kind of put both of those forces together and, just kind of had some production just pretty quickly out of the gate.
There's a cliche that holds really true, especially in real estate. It's that your network is your net worth. And I think that's a great way to, kind of summarize a lot of the successes that you're having. Like I asked you because I was like, dude, you're killing it in year one. What's the secret?
And what's crazy is it's a small town, right? Like, what is it, 60,000?
Yeah, I think sign says 61, 62, something like that.
And it's pretty saturated with realtors as well. Like,
yeah, man.
Like I think the amount of listings that are there and the amount of, compared to the amount of active real estate or people who have their license, it's kind of discouraging almost if you're a new agent where you're going, how am I going to break into this? There's companies that have been around for like tens of, 10 plus, 20, 40 years, like I think of like Cornerstone Properties, and they've been around forever. And it's like, how am I going to break into this market where there seems to be such like a stranglehold by so few brokerages?
And also, quick backstory. Jordan, for all the listeners, Jordan and I we were born and raised in Victoria as well. And so that's how we know Jake as well. And we all three, like we were talking about before the podcast, all three were in the food industry beforehand. Is that where you got a lot of your network?
Yeah, it really is, man. Jordan and I, as he mentioned, worked at the Pump House. So the Pump House is the grand restaurant in big town, small town Victoria.
That pecan crusted chicken goes hard, brother.
Dude. I mean,
it goes
let's
hard.
Go get one. Let's go bake on the porch, look at the river, and eat a pecan crusted chicken.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that helped a lot. I just. Again, indirectly, just part of who I am, I think, is trying to be genuinely engaging, and it just kind of comes that way. And so you spend time 4 years somewhere, you get to meet people, you get your regulars. Lo and behold, a lot of those regulars that I was, serving the pecan crusted chicken to are now clients, and it just kind of worked in like that. A little bit to do with the small town aspect, Austin, maybe not quite, the same dynamic there, just being there's more people. But yeah, absolutely, man. That, and then also, as Jordan would know, so Cornerstone Properties, the broker there that started Cornerstone Properties actually owned the pump house. So, we're working for like this well-renowned broker, realtor extraordinaire that's been in Victoria for years and years and years. So,
and what's cool is you can see the relation aspect that they have, where it's like they put a lot of what made them successful as a realtor or as a broker, and how that translated to the restaurant business. A lot of it is just taking care of your people. Like at the end of the day, that's what it was. Like I always felt very respected. I felt heard. I felt valued for being there. And I think that goes a long way. And it's no secret why they're successful.
Yep, absolutely right.
Didn't Jason Momoa eat there?
Yeah. And Danny Trejo too.
No way.
Yeah, it was the Victoria Comic-Con was coming through, and that's, there were a few people that went to the pump house. Jason Momoa was something different though. I think he was like visiting family. It had nothing to do with the
I think
the
he was
Comic-Con.
recording a commercial close by or something.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Josh Hamilton rolled through there once. We had a busboy named Wyatt. Wyatt hears Josh Hamilton's coming through. Wyatt goes straight to Academy on shift, doesn't tell anybody, buys like 8 baseballs and gets them all signed.
That's great. An opportunist, right?
I know.
That's great. So tell us, you said 37 deals your first year.
I believe that's right. It's 37, 38. I meant to count on the way here, but I try not to.
That's wild. So a lot of our listeners are newer agents. They're just wondering where that first deal's coming from. Tell us about your first deal and any details you remember. Where'd you get it? How did it go? How did you feel during that process?
Okay, first deal, I got lucky, and I think a point that, again, I think we'll get to at some point, but I got it because I showed up every day and I was in the office, right? So the first deal actually came through the lead phone. We've got a small office, so we don't get a ton of those, but I happened to be in the right spot at the right time. I would say it took maybe 2-3 weeks, and buyer calls in, VA buyer, and he's looking, he's got about $75,000. So we're not talking a big deal at all, but we are talking a deal, right? And at this point, I'm like, let's go, so I work him, and we wind up going to Pettis, Texas. And if you think Victoria's small, Pettis is like population 12 and a donkey. So, the $63,000 house that we purchased, I mean, that was kind of probably somewhere in the par of, their average price point over there. But nonetheless, again, deal number one, out of the gate, and I would say, it just, and you guys can attest to this, it's like you get that one because there's so much uncertainty going into that, and you get that one, it doesn't matter what it is, but it is a deal, and we just built a mountain of confidence after that one deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you get a lot of the unfamiliarity is gone. Like you're starting to write up a contract. You're starting to have to explain certain, amendments or addendums to the client. I think
and
a
half
lot
the
of
time you're like, I sort of don't even know what this is.
Oh, you don't know, man.
It's like, my broker said to sign this.
You're like, please just sign this. Don't ask me about it. Please just sign it.
So Jordan was my first client. We talk about this all the time. But one time, the very first contract I ever did was with Jordan. And I swear I asked him to sign the same thing like 15 times.
Yeah.
And he didn't even realize. I don't know if you like realized or something.
I was aware of it. It just, I didn't know that was abnormal. You know what I mean? So like as a first time home buyer, like I've never been through the process. Now, if you tried to pull that on me today, it'd be a different conversation.
We're finding
right?
another agent, man.
So you had mentioned like some of the feelings of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people in that listen to Real Estate Virgins might be in a similar situation. They've only done a handful of deals or no deals at all, and they're looking for that first one. You had mentioned that your confidence grows as you get more into the business. And I think it's great. You're the first person that we've talked to and interviewed who has mentioned doing phone time.
Yeah.
That's a different way of lead generation. In a small town like Victoria, you had mentioned there's not many calls that come through, but right place, right time, boom, there's your first deal.
I've done phone time before.
I know. I remember being at like Pita Fusion and you had the headset on, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "I'm on call, baby." Like,
Yeah, I didn't get any leads from it, but like you said, you were there at the right time. Right place, right time.
Yeah, it's so we call it floor duty. So it's any incoming call. We're a boutique brokerage, right? So we've got 5 agents, 6 agents, so basically works out to you're on floor duty 1 day a week, and it doesn't make up a vast majority, but it's like, let's get what we can get. Let's be present. Let's be there for when it might, may, should, could come. And, but you're just putting yourself there to be there, right? And to me, that's huge, especially out of the gate, right? Because there's so much value in staying in the office and listening to experienced agents on the phone. And I think like those uncertainties that you have is because you're green. That's part of it. Biggest thing I can tell you, like day one, is go to the office and open your ears and listen to these guys that have been, 5, 10, 15 years. My boss, 43 years. Like, this guy is a machine on the phone.
He sold my dad's house like back in the day. Like, yeah.
Were those in the 80s?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Pretty wild.
Yep, and that was 18% interest back then, you buyers. So this 6%,
Listen up.
Let's get it.
Stop using interest rates as an excuse.
Yep.
Yeah. Yesterday, closed on a house and my client's 6.25, and I was happy. I was like, "That's not that bad, man."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely, man. That's on par. And then it's like I always hear. You probably heard. There's no better time to buy a house than right now. And I tell my buyers that all the time because you get we're going to wait till rates drop. And then my immediate response is, but what if they don't drop? And
or when they drop, prices go up.
That's right. And it all balances itself kind of back out. But again, it works into no better time than now. And you've got to get that through to your clients because you got to figure out how to, get over these objections. That is a main objection right now because our age buyers, all they know, their reference point is 2-3% interest rate. So they think that 6, they're getting bent over, right? Not the case at all. We just have to be there to educate, and just work them through that and get them in a position that they need to be in, which is not renting a house,
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we've talked about this, but it's John and I have said you got to pick your hard, right? If you're a new buyer and you have to pick what your battle is. Is it going to be interest rates, pricing, or inventory? You can typically get 2 of the 3 together that are in your favor. It's never going to be all 3. So this perfect opportune time where all the stars align just doesn't exist. You're chasing something that's not going to happen. And so for me, I think about like pandemic times and everyone was bidding on the same 1,200 houses and there was all this demand because interest rates were pushing people to buy. Yeah. I mean, at 3%, you, and you are all buyers. Yeah. So there's all this competition, which drove pricing up. Now you can actually ask for repairs. You can ask for concessions. You can get a little bit off of the top, and now there's like 10 times the inventory. That's the other thing.
Well, what's the market look like in Victoria? Because we're saying
we're talking about Austin. Yeah,
market, so.
And that's bad. It's different. It's a different animal here.
Really?
Jake's like none of what Jordan is saying is true.
Well, and it's true from afar. I really pay attention and I appreciate these guys. I watch what they do. So I'm like, I feel like I'm trying to be, living vicariously some days to these guys. Like, what are they going through up there? Like John Michael told me he had a 170,000 or some crazy number over ask price last year, and I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, man, people are going like 10,000 over in Victoria, right? And it is just cutthroat.
And that was last year.
That was last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he, all the while they've got 15-minute showings. You got to be in and out, this and that, and we don't have that so much down there. So it's a little bit different.
Tell us, what's it like,
man? So to give you, I guess, our stable market, meaning 6 months of inventory, that's going to look like 300-400 houses available. We've been floating in the last few months in the 140 to 200 mark, plus or minus. Kind of goes up and down, depends if you do city, county, this and that. But when it got crazy for us, we had 60 houses, and
jeez,
that's crazy,
right? So to his point earlier, I started, I guess, December of 19, so I'm going on 4 years. When I started, we had 230 agents. Fast forward to last year, we've got 440. Right, so we've got 440 agents and 60 listings.
In Victoria?
In Victoria.
440 agents and 60 listings.
Yeah, when it was getting kind of down in the nitty-gritty dirty, it was, and it, and again, agents doubled in the 3 years that I had been in the business, in our market. So it became a different animal because, even those guys, they may not be heavy hitters, but they come in and do 1 or 2 deals and you get, do that times 200 people. I mean, we're talking 400 deals, right? So we saw a lot of that, and it's just trying to kind of just maintain presence as the local expert amidst the madness and chaos that was, the flock of new agents that came in. And more power to them, because we've all been new agents. You know, you can't beat that down, right? But it is certainly a presence that I think probably everybody's seeing in their markets.
Do you know if there's been a decline in agents?
There has. So
Victoria?
maybe not to y'all's scale, but I want to say maybe I heard 40 didn't renew their dues this year. So
well, when there's 400, I mean that's not a small number.
No, I think
right.
you said two. Is it 400?
Yeah. So we had about 440 at one point. Started at 230 when I got in, and then this last year I think about 40 or so didn't renew. So looking at in the ballpark of 400 now. Which is not a small number.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 10% or ballpark right there. So
I think it's easy to understand why people are leaving. I think people got into this with a certain expectation of how things were going to go. A lot of people have this misunderstanding that you get the HGTV effect where everything's 30 minutes. This is the easiest thing in the world. What, this dude opened a door and he got his license and all this business is just flocking to him. That's not typical, unless you have like a massive network that you're really good with. Kind of like with you, like you got into in 37 deals your first year, like your network helped make that happen. And that's kudos on you. That is not everyone's case, right? A lot of people here listening are going like, I think about how much business I maybe left on the table by not being in Victoria, because my whole life was built, and I'm kind of a reclusive person. I don't go out much. I don't network much from rubbing elbows with other realtors and stuff like that. And that hurts my business. And I think about it and I'm like, I got to get back into that and get on it because I'm just shooting myself in the foot. Right. But I've done okay for being in Austin, in a city that I've really only, been in since 2015. Granted, that's not it's not nothing, but it's not a long time. But I just think about that and there's all these decisions and circumstances that go into why your experience is going to be your experience. Yeah. So the more impact you can have on the things you can control, like your networking, like your prospecting, things like that, that's going to help accelerate that first year. So I don't know. I just went on a tangent, but
yeah, I didn't have my coffee today, so I need coffee. But this is very, very random note. I need more energy. No, but what I was going to say is that so we do, both you and I have a big network in Victoria, and pretty much we send all of our leads to Jake, and Jake's done such a great job, and that's why you're here in this room right now, is because all of our past clients and referrals, they always say you've done a great job. And
I have a question. Sorry, you go ahead. But I got next question.
He also sold one of my investment properties as well. Thank you for that.
That was your remodel, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
It was my dad's house. I remodeled it and sold it. And he did a great job too. But that's the power of having referral, like a referral network, right? Is like making sure you know people that are knowledgeable and experienced and actually not only knowledgeable and experienced, but knowledgeable, experienced, and hungry. And Jake is one of those people. And so like the power of having those referral partners in other cities, and I was able to, get a referral fee from sending out referrals to somebody that is experienced and gave my clients or, my referrals a great experience. And so that's just going to repeat,
Well, referrals can also look bad on you. If you refer out bad business or someone who's going to give your client a very poor experience, that reflects really negatively on you. Yeah. So it's important for you listening we talk about lender relationships, title company relationships, other realtor relationships. Those are also important. Especially when you're referring business, because these people are trusting you to make a good recommendation. Yeah. And if you don't, and they have that bad experience, they're probably not going to come back to you.
Yeah. What's crazy is, Jake, I've got a lot of friends that are agents in Victoria, and I feel so bad because they'll message me like, "Hey, why didn't you use me?" I'm like, "Man, I already have a solid relationship." And the thing is like, I'm pretty loyal, right? So like, if you did a good job, I'm gonna just keep sending it to you, right?
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right? Yeah.
Jake, I have a question. What got you interested in real estate? Like, how do you transition from bartender, and I think you served a little bit as well. How do you go from that to the success that you're having in real estate?
Man, I get to ask that, and a lot of times I haven't necessarily pinpointed it. I think sometimes things just line up the way that they do, and I call it the invisible string that we can turn back and we can see how it all connected, but by no means was it necessarily directly intentional, right? But so I think it's a little bit of that. But I grew up a little bit around construction. Worked in high school for a guy that built a lot of homes. I was always fascinated with, so this guy is just building subdivisions, right? Just one after another, and sure enough, somebody's moving in, we're working on the next one. It's just going like that. I was fascinated and it opened my eyes in small town Texas, that there's that many people needing shelter, and I say shelter and not a home because I think it's important to realize what we do offer. And that's the three essentials. You have food, water, and shelter, right? We offer shelter. That's what we're here to help facilitate. So it really kind of opened my eyes then, put it aside, went to college, served tables, bartended, this and that. Started kind of working on my license. I think it was partly because of Louise Patillo at the Pump House. I saw her demeanor about things, how she ran things, her connections with people, reverse engineered that to what she did. And I'm like, that is intriguing. Let's just kind of pay more attention. So just kind of started, it's like you look, you're going to buy a car and you're going to buy a red car. And all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere around. Started opening my eyes in that regard to real estate and kind of just really grew the interest in it. Went the roundabout way to get there, got finished with college, played some, tried my stint at professional golf for about a year. So while I was doing that, I was working on my classes, kind of slow rolled it, and basically ran out of money trying to play golf, chase a dream, right? And so I'm at flat zero with a real estate license, and so I'm like, well, here we go. And I take a $2,000 loan from my broker at the time to get me started with, initial dues and buy a computer, right? So, I'm at zero, right? And, and that's kind of a note that I want to hit right there is that, you can get into this and and everybody's situation is different. And I'm a very big advocator for just going, right? And don't part-time it. I understand you might have to part-time for a minute, just to pay bills and things like that. But we as humans, I think, I love putting myself, and you guys have been there, you put yourself in that position where you're uncomfortable as hell, right? And
every other week,
baby. And if you're not, hey, you're not growing. So get in those uncomfortable positions. But, in that instance, man, it was like, this is what we had to do.
Do or die.
And
back against the wall.
And it just creates this tenacity and this entrepreneur spirit, right? That just, it's got to be there, or we've got to go get a 9-to-5, you know.
I was there too, man. I was in a coffee shop and I quit my job and I Googled how to become a millionaire, and the third option was real estate. So I called my wife and I'm like, hey, how do I get into real estate? She's like, I don't know. So I look up courses and they're $900, and she was like, how are you going to get $900? And we found $900 to get the courses or whatever, because it was like in-person classes and all this extra stuff. But we figured it out. And the thing is she's at home right now, watching our kid, and she wouldn't have been able to do that without, believing in me.
Let's go.
So do you remember what the first two options? I'm interested what the first two options on how to become a millionaire that you passed up on were.
I think it was something to do with accounting or something.
Okay.
OnlyFans.
Actuary.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, right?
Bro, if I was built for it, I wouldn't be selling houses. I'll tell you that.
Don't sell yourself short, baby. Come on.
I know, right? Yeah.
So I have a question about where does your drive come? What drives you? Right? We all have like a purpose for keeping going. Like, you've had so much success immediately and continued success that what keeps you going every day? Like, for me, we're all, this is daddy gang right here, baby. Like, you're about to have a kid. I have, ours is due in November. John has a kid. Like, I think that's a big part of it. I don't want to speak for you though, but what drives you to keep going?
Man, so the daddy gang, that's certainly a new driver that I am experiencing, but to our like first time people that are just getting in the business, for me, it was the people, right? And it was seeing the impact that I was able to help facilitate and make on these people's lives. and it's way bigger than just us, right? So you adopt this mentality of just complete selflessness, right? And it's not like like people ask, how many deals have you done? I don't know. It's not, I'm not a deal counter. I'm not a transaction counter, but I am a helping people, kind of guy. And it's like, that is a big driver there. Cause it's like,
that's why you're winning, bro.
Man. And that's it. That's what it is, and I've got a wife that supports that, and I think that's key too. If you're with somebody and you're trying to do this and they're not a supportive complement to your direction and goals, hey guys, life's short, get rid of them, right?
I love that.
You know what's so funny is we've experienced someone whose partner did not support their real estate aspirations, and I think their business reflects it.
Oh yeah,
like it's so true that if you don't have the right people around you in your personal life and in your business life, you got to change that, because they have such an impact on your trajectory. Whenever we talked about it last episode, like I was in an environment, we were both in an environment where we weren't being poured into. Mm-hmm. It was more about growing someone else's business, not our own. Yeah. And when you can't water your own flowers are going to die. Yeah. And we all just got to water our own flowers. And where that water comes from is our friends, our family, our broker, our, your other realtor associates. Like, we're all trying to work towards something grand, and you need as much positive momentum and positivity as you can get, because it's hard. It's hard in these streets sometimes,
I do want to expound on what he said though, like that selfless care of worrying about the person and not the transaction, because that's why you do so well. And I always say the agent that cares the most wins the most, and you care a lot. So
yeah, no, that's it, man. I think that it's very easy out of the gate to like, I've got to get deals, I've got to get it done, I've got to make money. It's like this very short term, mentality about it. You got to adopt it's not about me, this is not my last transaction ever ideology about the whole situation, to where you then have this new aspect on how you go about your business, to where it's not me, it's them, right? And there's instances where guys, it's not the right spot for them. So you've got two options. You can try to like cheese ball, veneer teeth, car salesman your way into getting that sold and then putting them in a position to fail, right? Or we can put them in a position that might be 6, 8, 10 months down the road, but that's what they need. And it's, man, it's like everything else though. You do things with the right intention, with the right mindset, for the right reasons. You have to succeed, man. Yeah. There's so many other forces driving that type of work ethic, I think, that are there for you. So that's a big, in my opinion, there is like, let's think long term in this. If you're in this to stay, well, let's not be in it to think short term. Let's think long term, and how do we get there?
So I think you're a relationship builder for sure. You build a lot of relationships, and you're genuine. Do you build any of your network through golfing as well? Or?
Yeah, man. So that was a pump house, and golfing would be my two. I played college golf at the college there. And
VC Pirates, baby.
Let's go. So if we have VC, UHB, I went to both. It's like
same thing.
Small town, same thing. But yeah, man. So and I think the golf course is a great spot. Golf course is cool to me because it's really hard to get a successful businessman's time, right? Mm-hmm. But you can get 4 hours of undivided attention and time, and like them in their true element and not in their suit and tie behind the desk element. So it's like, you create these friendships that are like lifetime friendships for one, but it's with people that are like-minded, that if they're out there playing golf on a Wednesday, mind you, I was playing on a Wednesday because I was in college, right? Yeah. But they're playing on a Wednesday, it's probably because they own their business and they can do
successful.
What they want to do.
Like not poor people, but like people who are in a certain canceled. No, but like there's people in a certain position that are playing casual sports on a Wednesday. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So it's so cool to hear that. It's amazing how sports, poker, is like a big thing. Like a bunch of network building happens there, and it's because you're getting time with these people away from their business, where maybe their guard is up because they've got X, Y, and Z to do. They're there to decompress and kind of remove the shell of this business persona, and like you're getting to know that person really well. And again, it's all about relationships.
There's a lot of people in my life right now that have been asking me to play golf, and I just don't. I haven't played it yet.
I got asked last week, and I'm like, bro, I suck at golf. I need to fix this. Like, I'm getting asked to go play golf, and I can't because I'm awful.
I know.
And so much networking is being missed out on from that. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's there, man. And golf is beautiful because we can do it forever. You know, we're not going to be able to play hockey forever, right? We're not going to be able to play football forever. Basketball, you know, at some point the body is like, you know, we're going to go at a slow, 30 hit me hard like a box of rocks, dude. But, you know, it's something we can do forever, you know, because life is not all about real estate. Even though we're in it and we're loving it, you know, there's so much more to life. You know, I think that for me, golf has become this break, and, you know, it's my passion, right? But equally so, you know, gambling, you know, poker, basketball group, you know, the dad's club, like anything like that you can put yourself in. You know, if that makes you uncomfortable, great, because again, that means you're growing, right? So get yourself out there, because first things out of the gate, you know, I think a big take is that you've got to let your sphere and your people know that you are a real estate agent, right?
How do you do that,
dude? So I'll tell you how I learned, because I was in the business for like 3 months, right? Maybe not even, and had a very close friend that would have used me for sure to sell their house, and they
didn't know you.
They didn't know I was an agent, man. And at that day, I'm like, that's got to change, right? So it's not being annoying about it. It's being confident about it, being excited about it, to get other people excited with you. Because your people, you know, if they're truly your people, right, they're on board for whatever you want to do, whatever your heart's in. They're like, yeah, let's go, you know, underwater basket weaving, we're going to kill it, right? But, you know, so you let them know. And it's just people, it's just your connection. It's like people want to know what's changing your life, you know, and sometimes I think that we forget to kind of update folks on big life changes, because especially if you're not a talking about yourself type person, right? You know, it's uncomfortable to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, you know, and instead, you know, having to flip it from asking questions about them, like, you know, so it's just, man, and it's talking about it. And I think that when you're talking about it, then you start talking about specific real estate, you know, topics, this and that, and all the while you're growing your knowledge, you're growing their knowledge, you're growing your confidence, and talking about what you know, what you're learning. It just talk about it.
Well, people forget you know, John calls them secret agents. It's don't be a secret agent. You are the product. You are the service. You know, a lot of us come from backgrounds of selling something, but then whenever it comes to selling ourselves, we feel like different about it. You know, it's like I was at AT&T for a long time. I could sell an iPhone all day, but talking about why you should use me, you know, is a learned skill. You know, making your value proposition is really important. Being able to sell why you over, like here in Austin, why should you use me over 19,000 other agents? You know, why should you use me over your cousin who's a part-time agent who has their license and hasn't sold a home in 6 months?
Yeah, I had a client yesterday, actually. So he went to go to this open house, and there's an agent there, and that agent is really trying to get my client to work with.
Stay on your side.
I know, right? And but he said, hey, John, I already told him that I'm going to be working with you. And that really made me feel good. And when we were writing up an offer, we're going over the offer, and I'm telling him, you know what, I'm going to ask for a home warranty. I'm also going to make sure that you know, if you're, whether or not you're going to need flood insurance and all the details of the offer. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking, you know what, like when I first started in real estate, I probably wouldn't have known all of this stuff and had this much value, right? And so to the listeners right now that are brand new in real estate, it's definitely important to make sure that you're doing any type of education at all times. Like
Jake said, listen to the experienced agents.
Yes.
That's where you're you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, to I can talk about this stuff.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, to that, don't, like, man, if they're a decent human being, right, they want to pass forward what they have, you know, the whole knowledge thing, and it's, don't be afraid out of the gate. Something I did is I went on appointments with my broker all the time, right, because I wanted to hear him one-on-one, A, just communicate in general, but B, the way he handles objections is incredible, and it does come with knowledge. But like, you just sitting there waiting for something to happen. That's not how it works. You've got to go and actively like see what it looks like, because I think we get so caught up in the hoopla that everybody sees like the destination, but they don't see the journey to get there, right? They're like, oh, this guy's just killing it, but they don't see the backstory. So it's like, put yourself in those positions, because I guarantee you, if you go, and I think it's very important who you go to work for, and to that note, and sorry to ramble on this, but to that note, it's like, the biggest thing I think I can pass to anybody is going to be the fact that don't go for commissions. That's completely irrelevant, because again, we're playing the long game here. Mm-hmm. So if it's a 50-50 split, but you're going to get 150% value all the time, and a broker that's got a ton of support for you, that's what keeps you in the business. Yeah. You go and try to chase the EXP 95% or 100%, whatever they're giving, but you've got a puppy mill brokerage with 500 plus agents. You can't expect any support. While that might be okay once you're an experienced agent, that shift could make sense. But out of the gate, that's one of the biggest keys I think I can make is really doing your due diligence on the front end and interviewing and going in with questions and intent to figure out, where do I need to be? Where am I going to get support? Because, that first 2 or 3 years, as you guys will know, you learn so much, or you have the opportunity to learn so much, that is going to be used, the rest of your career.
Yeah. Well, no matter where you go, as long as there's support, like you said, and there's always somebody to talk to, right? Because when I first got into real estate, for the first 6 months, I didn't know who to talk to, and so really what changed my entire trajectory was finding the right mentor and finding the right community, like you said.
And don't hesitate to ask to get plugged in or to like shadow someone who's successful. They love that shit.
Oh, yeah. I know.
It's so flattering, like when someone wants to know your secret sauce, right? Like agents love that stuff. People who've been in the business for a while, they want to share those secrets. They want to be able to help pour into someone and watch them grow.
I think it's awesome that you said that you actually went with your broker to go on appointments.
Oh yeah, man. So out of the gate, like, I'm going with him to showings, to listing appointments, everything, because I'm going to see the master at work, right?
Yeah.
And it's like one thing to have a sales meeting or, read a pamphlet that you're given, but it's, and even to that note with schooling, people ask me all the time, like, how would you get your license? And my response, and some may not agree with this, but my response is as quickly as possible, as cheap as possible, because I think maybe 5% of what I learned in school, I actually practice and utilize.
Even that,
right?
It's just how to not get in trouble.
It's how to not get in trouble. It's legal, it's definitions, but what you're going to use day in, day out, you learn day in and day out.
Yep,
it's contractual, and so all of that is tough, but again, it's like plugging yourself in. Like Jordan said too, man, it's people want to help. They want, because you think they got there just like on a whim. They were born with it. No, somebody helped them get there. It's just like this collective, passing forward of knowledge. And it's like, again, as you guys know, it's like, we've gotten into real estate investing, right? Mm-hmm. And at first, so we got through another green moment, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, you talk with these people, and the more conversations about this you have, just the more fluent you become in what you knew and what you now know and what you're, learning further, right?
Yeah.
As you get with that. So, yeah, man, I mean, just, I don't know how to say it any better, but like, whore yourself out a little bit, get out there and just get on board with somebody that knows what they're doing and be a shadow.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being a shadow.
So what are some of the challenges that you saw in your market, like as an agent, as a first-time agent? What were some of the challenges?
Initially, our market is certainly not y'all's, and I try to put myself in y'all's shoes, because I'm like, and thinking about this podcast, I'm trying to think,
Well, I think it's great to hear your perspective on this, because there's people who are listening who are not in a major metro area.
Yeah, right? There's listeners are all over the U.S. So and every market's different, guys. So
I would say major challenges initially is like not having the confidence in knowing what you don't know yet, because a lot of times, right, we're jumping in. And you don't know, and that's okay, because you're not supposed to, right? That, to me, that goes back. Like I was really, really thorough with interviewing. I interviewed at the big box, Remax, Coldwell, a couple of the boutiques, and And ultimately, I decided in 150% did I know where I was going once I met, Greg Spears and Greg Spears Realty, because I'm like, this guy is about to pour into me as long as I pour back, right?
Yeah.
Or give back, or, I'm willing to receive. So, the big challenge really is not knowing, but something that I always had to fall back on. And sometimes you'll have that objection. Well, like Jordan said, we're all trying to win this listing. And you say you're 6 months in, and you're going against a guy that's been in for 10 years. He's going to have things you don't have, and that's part of it. One way I overcame that objection is I said, obviously I didn't raise the red flag if not needed, right? But if somebody said, you're a new agent, and just kind of leaves it there, yes, I'm a new agent, but I also just always fell back on the fact I had a broker that was in the business for 41 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you get me plus 41 years of experience. And, and thankfully I had a broker that, you can call him at 8:00 at night. He's going to answer the phone. Yeah. He's going to help you. Right. Yeah. And it's so key there. So key, because if you don't have that phone call to make, and you're in that position, you've been there, right? Yeah. You don't know who to call, and it could be something small on a contract. It could be something huge. But you don't have that call to make, what are you going to do? You're kind of stuck, right?
Yeah.
So that was
and
key
sometimes
there.
time is of the essence, for sure.
No doubt. In the competitive market, like, you better have that offer. If you're calling at 8, it needs to be in at 8:30.
Right? I know. Yeah.
That's great. It's great that you had that. It kind of goes into a point that we've made before, and it's been a while since we've talked about it. But you can borrow other people's experience, right, to kind of boost yourself up.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you're thinking, how are people going to go with me? Like Jake said, when he gets posed this question, why should I go with you when I've got this other realtor I'm interviewing who's been in the business for 10, 15 years? Talk about your team. Talk about who you work with on a daily basis. When I was new, I luckily I never needed to use this. What's different is I have a very confident approach to my interviews. There's very few listing or buyer appointments that I didn't go in and kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty confident when I'm going in that I'm going to close this deal. And it's not from a hard sell or anything. It's just I'm very confident in what I bring. I'm confident in my experience and blah, blah, blah. If that's not you, or if you're worried about numbers or you're getting pressed about numbers from a potential client, use your influence of your team. Hey, my team has sold 20 houses this year so far. If that's the kind of experience, you're looking for in that kind of activity and production, I'm your guy. Yeah. I didn't say I sold 20.
Yep.
It's my team that I work with every day sold 20 or whatever.
Also, going back to what's your value proposition, right? So when people question you on, hey, how much experience do you have? Yes, go back to, hey, my team has sold 20 houses this month or whatever. But also what we provide is so much more valuable as compared to, yes, they're charging 6%, we're charging 6%. But guess what? We're going to offer a pre-listing showings for your competition. We're going to go show we're going to show you what your competition looks like in person, right? Or something.
I'm gonna do an open house for your neighbors only.
Exactly.
To get them in. Like, that's also great for your business. It's just little things that separate you from everyone else.
That are creative value.
Anyone can plant a sign and sell a house and post it on the MLS. What, in addition to that, do you provide your clients? Exactly. And that's the difference maker.
Yep. I agree.
So, Jake, question for you. What kind of prospecting or marketing do you do, if any? Do you do any paid marketing?
Man, to date, not really. I was strictly organic the first 2 years at least, for sure. But just really social media, Facebook, heavy, right? That's free to you guys. I don't really agree with paid for, especially Zillow leads, things like that. Those guys are against us anyways, in their perfect world, they've got us out of the picture. Mm-hmm. They've got their agents. They pay $50,000 a year to show houses, and they
don't line your enemy's pocketbook.
Exactly, man. And that's what, we've adopted that in our office, and it's just like, why are you going to pay the guy that's trying to take you out? Yep. So organically, Facebook is huge for us, for me. You guys see that, and I think as well, but that is your sphere of influence plus a few others, and I think you can be active to grow that too. It's like, you meet people, you can just go on down the street and forget them, right? You can meet somebody, you can make an impact, say their name 3 times, plan it in your head, go at them on social media. You've at that point you've made contact. That's a new potential client down the road, right? That could be 7 to 10 deals in your lifetime from that one client with referrals and them, right? So add them on social, let them see what you're doing. Make that positive impact. Like Jordan said, he has the confidence thing. I think that's huge. Even if you don't know the real estate side, you've got to have the internal confidence in yourself, right? And so people breed off that. It's like they see that and it's easy to spot when you don't have it. So I don't want to say fake it till you make it in the beginning, but it's like you've got to at least have that internal confidence. And I've had 3 or 4 times where being a younger guy, clients have said, we interviewed a 20-year agent, very well known, and they're good, right? They don't have to have that drive, and they said we decided to go with the young hungry guy, even though he's new, we're going to give him a go because we like this energy that's being brought, because this is a big deal for people. You got to remember that as an agent. Like for us, we're not selling our house, so we don't feel that necessarily, but you got to get intact with them and realize what this is about, and just let's go, get them pumped, and then go and produce, and then it's just bang bang.
A lot of it is asking what their goal is with selling a house, and then supporting how you fit into that. It's not like anyone can go in and say I'm going to do X, Y, Z, blah blah blah. If some of that doesn't apply to them, or what their goal is for this, you're missing an opportunity. Again, all about relationships. It's me understanding what you're looking for and me plugging my strategies to show you how I'm the best fit for that.
That's right, man. And I think you go on those listing appointments and maybe they interview 2 or 3 other people. A lot of people are going to sit there and talk about me. This is me. Instead of peeling that onion back, and figuring out, what are their motivations. And there's going to be times too, like the referral situation, that if I've got a client that's buying a house in San Antonio, as hungry as I may be, I need to understand that once I listen to them, their needs, I'm not able to support those needs because I don't know that market. So as much as I'd like to go get all of that commission and help them find a house, I'm not the best fit. So, like John Michael, he could have sold that house. He knows Victoria. He's been there his whole life, but he knew the value of referring a local market expert. And same thing. It's just peeling back people's reasons and understanding that if you remove the selfish ways of thinking and you really listen to where they are, you're going to understand the situation better. You're going to be able to help them better. Sometimes helping them is not taking on the listing or things like that, right?
I love that. I love that you said that, because I've been seeing it online a lot in the mastermind groups about getting to a point where you can take business or leave business because you have the abundance mindset. If this listing is not make or break. This listing is not something I have to take on and deal with an unrealistic seller. If I'm showing them data that their house is worth $580 and they want me to sell it for $650 and the market doesn't support it, why am I going to put myself through that? And being able to just have that confidence where it's like, hey, I understand your goal. I don't think I'm the person to do this for you. Here's why. But I wish you the best of luck. And if anything changes, let me know. I'm here to be a resource for you.
Yeah.
And there's a cheat code you unlock, man. I remember the first time I did that, because you new guys, I get it. We want business. We want anything, just give me a taste, right? And so I took on a listing that was worth $240, and they were certain it was worth $420. So I'm like, $420, let's go, and it just sits on the market.
They were just dyslexic,
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with it, dude. Let's go, So, but that was that Christmas of my first year. So that was a month in, so, but the lesson being though, that now I've gotten to a point, and I remember the first one I did, and it's a power move, right? And it's it's just this next step. But like Jordan said, you can ask the right questions, you can peel this onion back, and if you realize you're working with somebody that is going to try to run the show, they're going to try to be the expert, they're not going to listen to you and let you provide your value that you have. Guys, there's nothing cooler than saying, I don't think I'm the right agent for you, right? And you should see their faces when you say that, because every other agent's just trying to get this business. And
Bro, that's you just putting it
it's
out there on the table,
dude. It's laying it out, but you unlock this new appreciation and for this value, and you adopt this ideology about who you are as an agent and the value that you have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're like, if they don't need me, then what? I mean, they must be that good.
Oh, it stuns them. It stuns them, man.
It's like, wait, what? You don't want my business? Why?
They call you back a lot the next day because they've had a chance to think about it, and they're like, this guy's going to walk away from the business because of the pricing. So that makes no sense unless the pricing is that far out of being appropriate, right?
Yeah.
And
it forces them to question what happened. Why did I just get turned down? Right. And it's like, well, if it wasn't them, it must have been me. I must be in the wrong here.
Yeah, because generally in their perspective, they're going to be turning you down.
That's right, man. That's right. It's a power flip, but
flip that script, baby.
You're gonna flip it right on them, but it does nobody any good, right? It wastes their time. You take those listings on, you used to pad your stats. You're not padding stats. You're wasting your time and their time.
Oh,
well,
so much time.
Why pay money for listing photos? Why pay the hourly that you should value your time at uploading into the MLS, advertising, pushing it if it's not going to yield something? Yeah. So there's no problem with that. I have a kind of a wrap up question because we're running out of time here. What is your exit strategy? What does your exit strategy for real estate look like? Have you thought that far as like, is it investment properties? I've seen that you guys, do you and your wife flip houses?
We so mainly buy and hold for rental purposes. We buy houses need a lot of work. We rehab, and then so that's a little bit of a part of the exit. And I would advise anybody to do that because I think it helps add value to you, because all the while you're adding value to you and your family for long term, but also you're learning the ins and outs. You're getting contractors information. Every one of your clients is going to most likely need something done. You're going to build like this client list. You're going to do all that. So yeah, we do that, and that just kind of came as a byproduct with it, right? And it's also benefited us. So we've got some rental property. This year I'll be flipping 2, and that's the first time I flip. I don't like to. I heard it the other day. It was cool. It was this old lady. She owns like 42 houses in California. We were talking on the phone, just got on a rant, and she said, "You don't eat your children." Because I was talking about how with these interest rates on a cash out refinance, I'd be, cash flowing zero. And it's like, should I sell it? Should I hold it? Wait for rates, But so that's kind of what we do for the part of the exit. I think that I'd like to develop as good a rental portfolio as I could. Be it residential right now and commercial down the road, things like that. But that's all on the side. But you're in it, and I think that's a benefit to being a realtor too. Is like you're in it, and so. It's like it's a second job, but it isn't, right? Because you're in it every day anyways, so it's just kind of there. And it's just, man, it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah, there's so many caveats to what you can do in real estate. Yeah.
I like that you had mentioned, making those contractor connections because your client's going to need someone. John talks about all the time being a connector and how that builds influence with your sphere and with people who maybe not even in your sphere. It's just John's has a great dads group here in the area that has over 2,000 members, and there's and there's people all the time, and it's a great lead source area for John as well.
Yeah, we had tacos this morning. I couldn't make it. I was like, man.
Yeah,
but I'd rather be here anyway.
But it goes to, I'm in there as well, and I see people all the time asking for, I need an electrician, I need a plumber, I need this. John's in there every time, and he's like, use this guy. And whenever that recommendation works out, people come back and they're like, John, thank you for the recommendation. That's positive influence within that group.
It's interesting because what I noticed yesterday is like there will be like 10 recommendations, and then okay, this is total flex. I'm not gonna lie. This is a total flex. But when I say, hey, you need to talk to Nick, right? Like everybody likes that comment, and then the guy that made the post that said I'm looking for an electrician or whatever says, okay, I'll message him, right? And so just having that influence is just so powerful, because when you make genuine, real good connections of solid people, it just builds your influence so much faster.
Yep. And being a connector is just another tool in the realtor tool belt. It's something else that differentiates you from everyone else. Yeah. I mean, imagine going to an investor client and not knowing a single HVAC technician or plumber or whoever. That doesn't look good. But if you say, hey, I've got a network of people that I'm going to help connect you with for whatever project you need, boom, there's a differentiator.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're building trust along the way too. Even those guys that have never been clients, say that you referred them an HVAC guy and you referred them an electrician and you bang, perfect referral. At that point, you've built like this trust behind you. So if you can handle that, well, hey, I've got to sell my house. Of course you got this,
Yeah.
And it's probably, and it's just like you said earlier, it's like it's a people thing and you're doing right by them, not expecting anything out of it at all. And it's a byproduct of it. That just happens to come with gaining that knowledge, getting the right connections, and then we're really putting dots together is what we're doing. You guys have seen that. It's like those few times that maybe RIP soon on the intermediary thing. We'll see how that plays out because I'm sure y'all have seen that. But it's like you've been searching for a house for like 4 months for these people, and you guys are in it. You've seen 30, none of them are working, or they're in a bad price point, blah, 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 right? And then all of a sudden, seller calls you, I've got this, and it's just like light bulb comes on. It's just that perfect little connection. There's so many ways to do that in our line of work. I think that that's part of our value that we're trying to add for people is just being that go-between.
Yeah. And the more that you can make that an easy process for people, the more trust that they're going to have in you moving forward.
Yeah. So Jake, where can people find you?
People can find me Instagram at Jake Truss. It's a pretty personal page. Not much real estate on there other than the story. I've got Jake Truss, real estate agent or realtor on Facebook. That's where I post most of my content. But yeah, man, that's where I'm at. And do I have time for one more note for these?
Please,
for these
come on,
guys?
bring it in.
And I've got some rapid fire questions after that note.
My bad.
And then
my bad. I
no, you're good.
apologize.
You're good.
Go ahead.
And I got to give them this one though, because this was passed to me, and it almost applies every day. So it's early on, anytime we're human, we compare ourselves. We look at other people. It sometimes discourages us in the beginning. John and I, Jordan and I, we might have all gotten in at the same time, and these guys sold 5 houses, and I haven't sold anything. Right? My boss laid it on me one time, and I wrote it, and I looked at it enough, and it's comparison is a thief of joy. Right? So you'd be surprised if you adopt that, how many times you'll catch yourself, like just throughout the day, just comparing yourself. You can't do that, guys, and that's the biggest thing. I think you just got to keep your head down, and everybody's got a different speed and process. But if you apply yourself, you work your tail off, if you do things for the right reasons, you can't fail. Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Well, especially in this digital age, like Instagram and stuff, everyone's only putting out the best shit in their life. Yep. So stop. I'm not going to show you if I lose a listing appointment. I'm going to show you my new listing though. You know what I mean? Stop comparing yourself to online stuff. Everyone's in different parts. People who have the most money in the world still have problems.
100%. Well, yeah. And at the same time, the people that have the most money in the world, they figure out big solutions to big problems as well.
Exactly. Right? Problems that we probably can't even imagine.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Jake, we're going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions for you, all real estate related, I think. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. You prefer to work with buyers or sellers?
Ooh, yes.
I love that. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
Listings should be empty or staged?
Ooh, yes. Every buyer's a little different. Some people like the blank canvas. Some people aren't a painter. So,
quick yes or no.
Let's go with
staged.
Yes.
No, stage it. You got to pick one of the
staged.
Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Ooh, I like morning now.
Your real estate superpower is?
Ooh, connectivity.
Boom.
Ooh.
And your favorite way to celebrate a closing?
Hugs and high fives and photos, man.
Okay.
I love it.
Look.
What a great interview, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for making the drive up here, sharing some knowledge. This was great. I hope that the listeners feel the same. I know that they will. When you guys do, leave us a like, subscribe to our channels, man. We're everywhere. We just got a new Instagram at Real Estate Virgins Podcast. Follow us there. That's where we're going to be uploading a lot of clips and stuff and more content from this. And
I think I'm starting to see a very similarities in all the top producers, and it's connecting people, genuine authenticity, and just good energy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's all the top producers. We've got some great guests, and if you haven't checked out any of the episodes before, go check them out. But
you'll see those recurring themes throughout. Every top producer that's killing it has a lot of the same traits:
connectivity, authenticity, and energy.
Boom.
And hustle, baby.
And hustle, yeah.
John, where can people find you?
At John Michael Perez on everything.
At Jordan Sells ATX, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Go kill in your local markets, and we will catch you in the next one. See ya.